Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for another episode of Foundation Fest. And today I'm going to check out from Tarte Sea Water Foundation, not to be confused with the Rainforest of the Sea. This is just the sea. Retails for $39 for 1 ounce of product. This is the mini size, which is 0.33 ounces or 10 mils of product for $15. And the full size comes in 15 different shades. The mini comes in 4. I have this in shade Fair Light Neutral. It had a number 15N. And let's take a look at some of their claims. This is a hypoallergenic vegan foundation that delivers powerful pollution defense and weightless buildable coverage that looks naturally flawless. Medium coverage, it is SPF 15, retains skin's natural moisture, has some marine plant extracts to help reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles while smoothing and softening skin. Vitamin E acts as a natural preservative, emollient, and antioxidant. So, vegan, cruelty-free, gluten-free. It is clean at Sephora. That's about all of the interesting stuff here. Let's take a look at this one, swatched against a few others in my collection. Swatch time. First up is today's foundation from Tarte Sea Water Foundation in shade 15N, Fair Light Neutral. Second is from Estee Lauder, the Double Wear Stay in Place in 1C1 Cool Bone. Third up, I've got from Ilia, the True Skin Serum Foundation in Texcel. Fourth is from Pure, the Love Your Selfie Foundation in Light Neutral 6. And last, I've got from MAC, the Studio Sculpt in NW15. I already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened this 46-year-old face. I'm not wearing primer because I used my Garnier Merlin Serum Cream SPF as my sunscreen, and it has kind of a, I don't want to use the word tacky because it's not tacky, but it gives a finish that is very much like wearing makeup primer under your foundation, and I really like it for that purpose, so it's kind of acting as my primer. I will go in on one side of my face with a damp sponge. The other side, I've got my e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. We will see if there is a preference one way or the other. Let's take a look at the consistency here. This is blending out easily with the sponge. I feel like it is giving sort of a satiny finish to the skin. It's toning down the luminosity of my skin, or the dewiness of my skin, just a little bit. It's giving it a more satin finish than a dewy finish. It is blending nicely. I'm not noticing any scent or fragrance to it. I would say at one pass with the sponge, it is pretty light coverage. Let's take a look at the brush side. This blends out nicely with the brush. I think personally I like it better with the brush, but it does look fine either way, sponge or brush. So I would say go with whatever your preference happens to be. I feel like the coverage is about the same either way, maybe a smidge higher coverage with the brush, but generally speaking I think they look pretty much the same. I think this is pretty light coverage. They said this was buildable to medium coverage, so I put a little bit more on my palette, and let's see if we can build it up just a little bit where I tend to have my sunspots in this case, or my blood vessel that runs through my front of my face. Noticed a couple new gray hairs in my sideburns, so that's just great. I think I'm going to use the brush. Let's just see if we can get this a little closer to medium. I would say this is my summer shade, so it is a little dark for me right now because I have literally no color or self-tanner whatsoever. This is building up in terms of coverage, but it does look a little bit like makeup on top of the skin as it builds up, where it didn't look like that before I built it up. Let's see if we can just kind of blend it out and get it to sink into the skin a little bit more, look a little more seamless. It does build up with coverage. I'd say we're approaching medium right now. Let's zoom in and take a look at this one. In general, I think it does a really nice job on texture. I feel like the finish is very good for mature skin in the sense that it's a little bit of a satin finish. There's enough luminosity to give your skin that look of being hydrated, but not so much that the dewiness is emphasizing texture or wrinkles or giving anything to reflect off of, but it's not flat. I wouldn't call it a matte finish. There is still some luminosity behind it. It's a really nice finish, I think, for mature skin. In a couple spots, it looks a little bit dry, like on top of the skin, and it's mostly happening in the areas where I built it up. So that might be something to be aware of. You might want to use this more as a one and done and just put on as much product as you think you need to start out with. But generally speaking, I think it looks very nice. I'm seeing a little bit of my micro wrinkles on my forehead, which tends to happen on me with satin or matte finishes. The more dewy finishes tend to plump those up and you don't see them so much. Right out of the gate, I'm liking how this looks on the skin. I like the amount of coverage. I like how it is smoothing out texture. I don't think we're having any issues with pores, anything like that. So starting out, we're all right. It is 2:19. I'm gonna go put the rest of my face on. I will be right back. Back with the Tarte Sea Water Foundation. I did not have to set this with powder, which is excellent. And I forgot to apply concealer before I put my blush bronzer on. And I tried to go back and fix it, but I was kind of feeling myself with the bronzer application today. Oh, I love you, Simple Human Mirror. Thank you. Thank you for going on and off. So I tried to put a little bit of concealer on, but I didn't get very much on there because I didn't want to ruin my bronzer, so ignore the under eye situation. You would think my tired eyes would have reminded me to put concealer on. I'm in the middle of final grading right now, but no, didn't remind me. So, that bronzer, that contour shade, you guys. It's the Wangos, of course. That contour shade is just everything dreams are made of. This bronzer shade is also everything dreams are made of. Light gold is the blush bronzer, and then I've got the Blush Peony blush palette. My highlight is Natasha Denona Super Glow. The one in the Wangos is a beautiful highlight, but it's a little more pink than I like to wear. But I mean, look at me. Usually I go for more of a neutral, icy-ish highlight. Anyway, my eyes are the Circle Loco palette. Can't stop, won't stop with this thing. Holy cow, you guys. I know colorful eye looks are not for everyone, but they're for me. I'm in love. Let me give you a quick little thing with this. So the deal with this palette, every column can make its own eye look. Every diagonal can make its own eye look. Every quad can make its own eye look. So if you struggle to decide what colors to put together, a palette like this is absolutely brilliant, because then all you have to decide is which color scheme you want out of the ones that are available. It's like you can't mess it up. You just pick one of those configurations and just put them on your eyes anywhere, any which way. Doesn't even matter because they're all gonna go together. Anyway, loving the color. My lip is the ColourPop Luxe lip oil in Hey, with a whole lot of Y's on the end. That's about it. I think everything looks really nice. I am particularly enjoying how smoothing this looks on the skin. It's a really smoothing, it looks really nice. It looks really nice. That's where I'm at right now. I'm going to go about the rest of my day. I will come back in a bit with a daylight check-in, because I'm gonna have to go outside after all this grading, and then I will come back tonight, give you guys my final thoughts. Hey guys, it has been about 6 hours, and I've had about 3 hours of on and off mask wearing, and I was wearing sunglasses for a good amount of that time. So I think it is holding up pretty well. Like, I don't see much evidence that I had a mask on. I think it's holding up very nicely. The only thing I think is that I think my smile lines and my three main forehead lines, I think, are a little more prominent some other times. That's probably my only complaint. I did get a good look at this in the mirror in the bathroom just now, and I do think it's holding up quite nicely. It's my summer shade, but it was the lightest shade they had in the mini version. I love that companies are doing these mini versions for foundations, but all right, that's where we're at the 6 hour mark. We're doing pretty good so far. I'll give it the rest of the night. I'll come back and give you guys my final thoughts. 10:30 p.m. Let's take a look at how the Tarte Sea Water Foundation held up. We are about a little after the 9 hour mark, and this stuff holds up exceptionally well. I feel like there's very minimal evidence of wear. tiny bit has worn off my chin. I can see a tiny bit of where the pads of my sunglasses sat. That's about it. And I wore a mask on and off for a good 3 hours or so today, and it really didn't transfer. And this is not set with powder, so I'm impressed at how well this has held up over time. Let's talk about comfort level. I wish it was a tiny bit more hydrating. It feels not drying, but it's not hydrating on me. I do feel a little drier now at the end of the day than I did when the day started. So I wish it was a little bit more hydrating. If you've got dry skin, that could be a situation. It's not major. I wouldn't call this drying. It's just not as hydrating as water foundation would imply. I think it is exceptionally well performing in terms of fine lines. No settling whatsoever, even into my chin line, which is a deeper line that almost always collects foundation. The line issue, probably my only real complaint would be that I feel like my deeper lines, my smile lines, my 3 little forehead lines are more visible. And it's not because the product settled into them, and it's not because the product broke apart along them. The product doesn't really have anything to do with it in terms of its performance. I think it's just this type of a finish in a foundation makes those lines on me more obvious than some other finishes of different foundations. So that is really just a personal preference issue and not an issue with the performance of the foundation, so to speak. Let's zoom in and take a look at this one. Generally speaking, it has held up fantastically. There's a little bit of wear on my upper lip and a little bit of wear off going on my nose and on my chin, but honestly, everywhere else looks pretty stellar. Blush, bronzer, highlight are still so well intact that they look practically brand new. Nothing is caking up anywhere, really. Nothing is caking up around my nostrils. Nothing is caking up between my eyebrows. No caking whatsoever. It's very smoothing, and it still looks very much like it is freshly applied. So I really like how it is sort of smoothing out the skin, smoothing out texture, just kind of giving you this really nice canvas to paint with makeup, so to speak. I'm very pleased. I'm very, very pleased with this one. If I had to give a grade to the Tarte Sea Water Foundation, I think I have to give it an A. I really like the coverage. I really like how it performs in the issues that have dry and maturing skin all over them, such as texture, such as dryness, dehydration, such as fine lines. I think it performs really, really well. I love that it has worn very well throughout the day. I didn't do an extensive mask test, but I was on and off with a mask, and there's not really any transfer inside my mask. I don't see really any transfer on my face, so yeah, I like this. This one's good. Very minor issues, and check it out if you can. I like that you can get a miniature size. They don't have the whole shade range in the mini, but it definitely gives you an option if you are close to one of these shades to try it out without making any kind of super investment, at least until we can for really go get samples again out in our shopping lives. There you have it. Good one, Tarte. Bravo! Another episode of Foundation Fest is in the books. If you like foundation reviews, if you enjoyed this one, give me a thumbs up down below. Let me know in the comments what foundations you would like to see next. I keep a spreadsheet listing all of them that I plan to purchase as soon as I can. I also have the foundation spreadsheet on geekoutofwater.com. Click the Foundation Fest link. I have a ranked, sortable, searchable spreadsheet. Scroll that thing to the side. There's a ton of data in there for you to see what foundations I have tested. There are more than 200 of them on there at this point. And as always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. Come back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern time for new videos. I appreciate your time, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.